Hello there, and welcome to Whispers to Sleep. My name is David, and I'm truly honored to be your guide tonight. Here we believe sleep is not just a routine. It's a gentle journey, a quiet return to peace every night. I craft stories with care, so your mind can rest and your body can soften all you need to do. Let go, take a slow deep breath in, and as you breathe out, allow the day to melt away. Close your eyes. Get cozy under the covers and let my voice lead you into calm, into comfort, into dreams. This is your time. Your memento, truly relax. Let's begin. You are still beneath the woolen weight of sleep. The fire has long gone out, and in its place, chill. A hush lies over the timber beams above, as if the air itself is pausing, waiting for you to breathe the morning into motion. Your bed is shared, not just with warmth, but with others, siblings perhaps, all curled like question marks against the cold. There is no mattress, only straw packed into a coarse sack, and you can feel it shift beneath your back as you move. Beyond the wooden shutter, the rooster has already cried. Its call cuts softly through the mist, not urgent, but steady, a feathered declaration that the sun, though hidden, has returned. You sit up slowly. There is no rush. Your feet find the cold stone floor, and you exhale into a room dim with dawn, lit only by what slips between the wooden slats. This is not a place of noise, but of texture. The grain of wood, the roughness of wool, the creak of old beams that speak like tired bones dot in this world. Time is not marked by minutes. There are no clocks on the walls. There is the bell in the distant church. There is the length of a shadow. There is the feel of hunger rising gently in the belly. You reach for your shift and tunic, woolen and worn, smelling faintly of smoke and dried herbs. There are no buttons, only ties. You dress as the room exhales, one soft sigh of morning. And the science of it all is quietly present, though unnamed. Your body responds to the cold by tightening your skin's blood vessels, conserving heat. In a way your ancestors never explained, but always understood. Downstairs, the hearth is still, but the ashes glow faintly beneath the iron pot. You crouch and breathe gently into the embers, feeding them with slivers of dry wood, and you watch how fire returns like memory, not all at once, but in tiny, glowing steps. The kitchen is not just where food is made. It is the warmest place in the house, the gravitational center of your morning world. Here, science unfolds without names. Heat rises, bread ferments, water boils, and life begins anew. You take the clay jug from its place, its rim cool against your skin. Outside, the path to the well is muddy, and your bare feet leave temporary prints on earth still damp with yesterday's rain. Fetching water is not just a task. It is rhythm, breath, and movement. The pulley creaks, the rope strains, and in that moment, you are both body and balance. Muscles coordinate with gravity, bones bear the weight in practiced harmony. You carry the jug home, both hands steady, arms curved as if holding something sacred, and perhaps you are. This water will warm the bread, bathe the face, fill the cups. It is life, carried in silence. Back inside, you mix flour with water and a pinch of salt. There is no yeast, only the wild air, alive with invisible microbes that find their way into the dough and wait patiently to rise. Fermentation, a quiet revolution. Bubbles forming, expanding as the dough lifts itself from slumber. You don't know the names of the bacteria and enzymes, but you know the feeling of readiness, how the surface softens and the scent turns sweet. While the dough rests, you sweep the floor with a bundle of twigs tied tightly with twine. Dust, ash, bits of straw, all are brushed aside, leaving behind the clean canvas of a new day. You listen as the house awakens behind you. Footsteps above, a cough, a wooden door creaking open. Even the building breathes, expanding slightly as the morning sun begins to warm the outer beams. Outside, life stirs in layers. Chickens cluck softly near the coop, pecking through the soil with no schedule, no plan. A neighbor leads a cow down the road, its bell ringing a slow, resonant rhythm. And still, there is no haste. Even the insects move slowly this early, wings not yet warmed for flight. The bread is in the oven now, tucked beneath a dome of clay, with embers carefully banked around its edge. Heat seeps inward. The loaf rises from within like breath held. And slowly released, you sit beside the fire and sip from a mug, herbal tea, maybe made from dried nettles or mint. The steam curls upward, each tendril shaped by physics, by air pressure and temperature, dancing without names across the space between your face and the hearth. You watch it rise. You inhale its scent. You listen to your own quiet chewing when the bread is done, crunch of crust, softness within. Your morning has passed not in tasks, but in transitions, from cold to warmth, from stillness to breath. Your body is awake now, not jolted, but unfurled, like a leaf sensing sun. And as the shadows shift just slightly across the floor, as the sound of life builds, gently, never suddenly, you find yourself drawn toward the next rhythm, the next small moment of motion. Outside, the path leads to the market square. There, too, the world waits, not with urgency, but with the promise of slow exchange. The room holds its breath as you rise. The fire still slumbers in the hearth below. You're half-dressed in dreams and the fading memory of warmth. But already the air bites gently at your skin. You move slowly, not from laziness, but necessity. There is a rhythm to mornings here, a soft ceremony in the act of putting on clothes. Each piece is worn not for beauty, but for being. You reach for your shift first, the base of everything. Rough linen, softened by many washings, folded with care the night before. Its fibers hold the scent of smoke and salt and sleep dot. It slips over your head like a hush, brushing your shoulders, settling against your skin as if it remembers you. Linen, made from flax, grown and readied and spun by hands like yours, in seasons. Past, you sit on the edge of the bed, watching your breath curl in the morning air. The shift clings to your shape, but it does not warm, not yet. Next comes the stays, stiffened fabric, laced with care. Your fingers work slowly, pulling the cord through each eyelet. They are cold, your fingers, not just from air, but from blood held in the center of your body, protecting your warmth where it matters most. This is how your body works, always prioritizing, always protecting. Vasoconstriction, the scientists would call it, the narrowing of vessels in your skin, the quiet withdrawal of heat to your core. You don't name it, but you feel it. You tug gently at the stays, just enough. Not for fashion, but for support. To carry water, lift baskets, kneel at the hearth. The body, framed and shaped for labor, not display. Then comes the kirtle, another layer of wool. Heavy, familiar, patient. It falls around you like a memory, warming you not with speed, but with steadiness. Wool breathes. It traps the heat you've begun to make, reflecting it inward, slowly. Tiny scales on the fibers create pockets of air, nature's insulation, woven into every thread. The apron follows. Tied at the waist, worn to protect the kirtle, though. You know the kirtle needs no saving. It has weathered mud and ash and days in the fields. Still, the apron marks the readiness for the day. It is like armor, soft but symbolic. You wrap your shoulders in a shawl, pulling its edge over your collarbones. This one is your favorite, not because it is fine, but because it is yours. Worn in the same way each morning, its folds guided by muscle memory and quiet comfort. And the final touch, your coif. A linen cap tied beneath your chin, its cloth a soft whisper behind your ears. It keeps your hair in place and your thoughts close. You do not look into a mirror. There may not be one in the house at all. But you know what you look like, not because you see, but because you feel. Clothes here are not costume, not expression. They are purpose, warmth, repetition. And in that repetition, there is peace. Every layer tells a story of sheep and shears and spindles, of fields and fingers and fireside mending. Each garment has been touched by many hands, including your own. There is no haste in dressing, because nothing is disposable. Every stitch is meant to last. Wool is patched, linen is dyed with onion skin or walnut husk, not for color, but for continuation. And as your body adjusts, blood flowing more freely, skin waking beneath cloth, you begin to feel whole, wrapped not in trend, but in time. Even the act of dressing reveals how deeply science weaves itself into daily life. How the body preserves heat, how fabric breathes and flexes, how friction warms fingers as you tie the final knots. You are warm now. Not because the world gave you warmth, but because you created it. Layer by layer, breath by breath, you made your own shelter. And when you step outside, into the gray stillness of the morning path, you carry your layers like a secret. Invisible to others, perhaps, but deeply known to your skin, your bones, your breath. The wind meets you, gentle but cold. But you are ready, because warmth is not a gift here. It is something you build, one garment at a time. And now, your body clothed and your breath steady, you walk toward the square, where bartering waits and slow conversation, and the sounds of soft footsteps on stone. You walk with purpose, but not with speed. The path beneath your feet is dry this morning. Powdered earth and scattered pebbles pressed gently into the soles of your shoes. Thick leather, worn smooth from use. Each step is soft, not hurried. There is no need for haste here. The village ahead breathes in rhythm. No horns, no sirens. Only the creak of wooden carts, the shuffle of wrapped feet, and the rustle of linen skirts against woolen legs. You pass a low fence covered in ivy, and a child crouching near it, quietly watching a beetle trace a slow, invisible path across a stone. Time seems to bend here, not backward, but inward, folding into itself like a napkin smoothed by habit. The market square is not paved, not clean, not loud. It is lived in. It smells of turnips and tallow, of chickens in cages, hay, and wood smoke. A symphony of simplicity. You feel the warmth of bodies nearby, their presence like steam rising from a shared pot. Stalls line the square, not uniform, not measured. Wooden planks rest on barrels. Woven baskets spill over with onions and herbs. Cloth dyed in uneven shades flutters lazily in the breeze. Nothing matches. Everything belongs. You stop at a table where apples sit, not polished, not perfect. Some are bruised, others still damp from the morning dew. You pick one up, firm, familiar, quietly fragrant. And without words, you trade. Perhaps a coin, perhaps eggs, perhaps bread from yesterday's baking. Barter is a language spoken in glances and nods, measured by memory and fairness, not math. There is no shouting here. Voices are low and close, not because people are shy, but because they are near, physically, emotionally. COMUNALL, Y.it. The soft sheen of cured meat hanging from a hook. The dry crackle of herbs being bundled. The cool weight of a clay jug pressed into your hand. Everything tactile. Everything real. You pass a basket of beeswax candles, smooth, golden, smelling faintly of honey and smoke. They are shaped by hand, not mold, each one slightly different. Like fingerprints made of light. A man sells fish from the river. Not. Packed in ice, but laid on cool leaves, shaded from the sun by a linen sheet strung overhead. Their eyes are still clear. He nods as you glance, but you move on. You have no fire left to cook them today. Dot at the edge of the square. A weaver. Sets up her frame. Her fingers move like breath, in and out, over and under. She is not in a rush. The cloth will take weeks, perhaps more. But time is different here. It isn't owned. It's used. Gently Dot, your basket begins to fill. Not with excess. Just enough. A few carrots, a spool of thread, a wedge of cheese wrapped in waxed cloth. Everything chosen with care, with the steady precision of someone who knows what tomorrow looks like. There are no signs, no prices. Just people. You know the baker's limp came from a fall 2 winters ago. You know the man with onions is caring for his sister's goats. You know the boy with the thatch-colored hair sings to his chickens when he thinks no one hears. This is not shopping. This is remembering and being remembered. You pass the church bell in the center of the square. It doesn't ring now. It waits. But its shadow stretches long across the stalls, like a reminder that the day has begun. You pause at the apothecary's corner, a small cloth booth smelling of rosemary and vinegar. Jars line the makeshift shelf, dried yarrow, nettle, powdered. Willow bark. She mixes you a tiny paper pouch, not for illness, but for tired bones. You work too hard, she murmurs. You smile. You do not disagree, Dot, and science lives here too, though no one calls it that. The healing power of plants, the preservation of meat with salt, the fermentation of cider, the dyeing of cloth with lichen and madder root. It is all chemistry, all biology, woven into routine, lived in the fingertips and the senses. Never written down. Dot, the market shifts as the sun rises higher. People drift in and out. Some linger just to talk, their voices merging into the steady hum of shared living. Children dart between legs, laughter like wind chimes in the breeze. You sit on the edge of a worn stone well. Your basket rests beside you. You eat a small piece of cheese and an apple, letting the juice stain your fingers. You watch the dust swirl in golden threads around your feet. There is a kind of intelligence here, not spoken, not taught in schools, but felt, through calluses, through glances, through the way people lean into each other when they speak. This is how information spreads, from hands, from habits, from heart. No parchment, no ink, just life repeated softly until knowledge becomes part of the body. You rise, your basket now a little heavier, your steps still slow but sure. You begin the walk home, back through the ivy-covered fence, past the beetle now hiding in shadow. Dot, and as the village square fades behind you, its sounds softening into memory, you feel the weight not of things, but of belonging. The day continues. There is bread to eat, clothes to mend, and perhaps a quiet moment by the hearth, with wooden bowls and the gentle scent of warming broth. The scent reaches you before the bowl does. Thick, earthy, slow, something like onions, something like turnip, and something deeper still, the warmth of waiting. The hearth is alive again, not with flame, but with glow. Coals tucked beneath. A blackened iron pot, steam curling from the lid like breath from an old story. There is no clock to tell you when to eat, only the soft rumble in your belly, the gentle hiss of simmering broth, and the comfort of knowing the pot has been cooking. For hours, its ingredients breaking down, blending, becoming something shared. Dot, you settle onto the wooden bench. The table is marked with use, scratches, stains, grooves from knives long dulled. You place your hands flat against its surface and feel the grain like a quiet heartbeat. A wooden bowl is passed to you, filled with pottage, a simple stew, of grains and roots, sometimes beans, sometimes peas, thickened by time, not butter. There is no fork. just a spoon carved by someone you know. Its handle is smooth from many meals, its bowl wide and shallow, perfect for scooping warmth. You lift a spoonful to your lips, and the steam brushes your cheeks. It tastes of parsnips and barley, of salt saved carefully through winter, of water, oiled and thickened with patience. You eat slowly, not because you must, but because each bite belongs to this moment. Digestion begins before food ever reaches your stomach. Saliva, warm and rich with enzymes, starts to break down starches even now, your body already working in rhythm with your breath. You chew not with thought, but with memory. Your jaw moves in time with the crackle of fire, in time with the quiet sounds of others chewing beside you. This, too, is science. A symphony of systems aligning. Taste, saliva, muscle, movement. No one speaks much during the meal. It isn't silence out of rule, but out of reverence. You take a sip of warm ale, poured into a wooden cup, flat and faintly sour, brewed from grain that once stood tall in sunlit fields. It's not strong, but steady. The yeast used to brew it, is wild, alive in the air, living in the wood of the barrel, joining the fermentation as naturally as breath joins speech. Your body knows how to absorb it, how to filter the alcohol, how to draw minerals from the grain, how to carry warmth through the blood. You wipe your fingers on a scrap of cloth. There are no napkins, no silverware, no etiquette manuals, just habits formed by time. The bowl is scraped clean, not out of greed, but of gratitude. Wasting food is unheard of, not because it is punished, but because food is a gift too rare to forget. Even the scraps will not be discarded. Crusts go to chickens, bones into broth, peels into compost. The cycle never ends, not even in. The quiet after eating. Your stomach is full, but not heavy. Satisfied, not stuffed. This is not a meal of indulgence, but of rhythm. And rhythm is what your body loves most. There is a science to it, quietly unfolding. Your brain receives the message of fullness, not in a flash, but like the fading of a candle. Hormones whisper across nerves, telling your heart to slow, your blood to focus inward, your thoughts to soften. You lean back slightly, letting the warmth settle into your bones. The room feels different now, as if it too has eaten. Sunlight filters through the shutter slats, drawing golden lines across the floor. The air smells of damp earth and rosemary, of soot and something sweet, perhaps apples stored near the hearth. Someone begins to hum, low and unhurried. You don't know the tune, but it fits, like steam curling into the rafters. A pot of porridge is scraped for later. A heel of bread is wrapped in cloth. The meal ends not with dessert, but with dishes carried to the basin, water poured from. A jug warmed by fire. Your fingers dip into the basin. The water is no longer clean, but it is warm. And somehow, that matters more. You wash the bowl with care, not with soap, but with ash and cloth. Lye and fire do what they've always done. Strip grease, clean wood, make things ready again. Outside, the sounds of afternoon begin to stir. The bleat of a goat, the call of a child down the lane, the flap of linen hung to dry. You pause, to listen, to feel how the body responds after nourishment. The heartbeat is slower now. The mind is softer. Even your breath is different, deeper, quieter, as if your whole being understands that it has been cared for. The bowl is empty, but the memory remains. Of barley and broth, of warmth and wood, of a spoon lifted slowly and a moment stretched, gently until hunger turned to peace. You step away from the table, still tasting the earth, still carrying the quiet weight of a meal, earned and enjoyed. And somewhere in the background, you hear the low groan of a wooden door and the wind shifting. Outside, calling you gently back to the land where firewood and forgotten tools wait in silence. The morning has passed, slow and steady, carved into simple acts: waking, dressing, walking, eating. And now the world calls you outward into its vast and muddy patience. You step from the cottage, and the sky greets you without color. Not gray, not blue, but soft, a sheet of pale cloud draped across the sky, as though the heavens, too, are still deciding how to begin the day. The earth beneath your feet is not dry. It gives slightly, a quiet surrender under your weight. The mud pulls at your boots, slow and soft, as though trying to remember you. Your hands carry no list, no schedule, only instinct. You walk toward the fields not with urgency, but as part of a story that always begins again. The gate opens with a sound like memory, a creak, a sigh, a wooden moan. You pass through and feel the openness expand around you. The land stretches wide, not dramatic, but steady. Furrowed rows, stray leaves, damp straw. A place shaped by effort and season. You breathe in. The air tastes of damp bark, wet soil, and something green and bitter beneath the surface. Life unsweetened. Life untouched. The tools rest where they always do, leaning against the shed wall, their handles worn smooth by time and touch. You don't have to think. Your fingers find the one they need. A wooden hoe, its blade dull, its wood splintered at the end. But it fits your hand like a memory. Not perfect, not new, but known. Farming here is not science as it is taught in books, but science lived, repeated, felt. The biology of soil, the chemistry of compost, the physics of leverage, all playing out in silence beneath your steps. You begin to till the edge of a narrow plot, turning over earth dark and rich with rain. Vorms twist and vanish into the foam. Folds doing their unseen work, aerating, fertilizing, sustaining. This soil is alive. It breathes in its own slow rhythm, its own cycles of decay and renewal. And your body moves in time with it, shoulders lifting, arms lowering, muscle and gravity working as one. You do not rush. There is no reason to. The sun will rise and fall regardless. The roots will reach downward, whether you hurry or not. Robin hops nearby, pausing, watching, and pecking gently at the loosened earth. Even the birds know this rhythm. Even they are part of this equation, this ecosystem of shared stillness. You pause to gather firewood, branches already split, stacked neatly in a basket. Some damp, some dry. You choose carefully, not for perfection, but for how well they will burn. The science of fire lies not just in flame, but in readiness, in moisture levels, airflow, resin content. Your hands weigh the wood the way a potter feels the clay, not measuring, but understanding God as you move. Your body begins to sweat, not with exertion, but with rhythm. Heat gathers under your shawl, your breath deepens, and your limbs fall into a kind of meditative work. The field hums around you, not with sound, but with texture, the rough scratch of straw, the sticky resistance of sap, the dull thud of your foot against stone. You glance at the sky, it hasn't changed. Still soft, still watchful. Time here is not divided by hours, but by shadows, by hunger, by the feel of fatigue rising in your shoulders like tide water creeping inland. You rest for a while, sitting on a stone still cold from the night. You sip from a leather flask of water, clear, cool, silent. It tastes of earth and iron and moss. It tastes of here. Nearby, a broken wheelbarrow leans against the fence. Its wheel bent, its handle cracked. You trace the grain of the wood with your fingers, not fixing it, just noticing. Even the tools are tired. Even they remember. The wind picks up slightly, ruffling your hair, carrying the scent of distant smoke, someone baking, perhaps, or heating bathwater. A reminder that while you till and gather, others cook and mend and clean. Everyone moving slowly, together, like cogs in a wooden clock. A few weeds are pulled. A patch of soil is leveled. There is no completion, only tending. And in the tending, your thoughts soften that this is not labor. It is listening. Listening to the needs of plants, to the texture of seasons, to the slow unfolding of biology beneath your feet. You think of seeds, how they split open underground, how they reach toward light before they even understand what light is. That, too, is a kind of knowing. And you, too, are part of that reaching. You rise again, gathering what little kindling remains near the fence. Your hands brush dirt from your skirt. Your arms ache, gently, like they've remembered something ancestral. On your way back, you stop at a small tree planted last spring. It's growing slowly, crookily, but growing. A sign that time does not need to be swift to be sure. You reach the cottage again. Its walls are close, its roof sagging slightly at the corners, but it welcomes you. You unload the firewood near the door. Not stacked, not sorted, just placed, ready for the next moment that asks for warmth. Inside, the hearth is waiting. The coals still faintly warm, embers whispering beneath the ash. You'll feed them soon, but not yet. You breathe in the scent of the earth still clinging to you. Damp wool, pine resin, old iron. And for a moment, you simply stand there, not moving, just feeling the stillness of having worked in silence. And as you reach for the bundle of herbs hanging by the window, ready to season the evening broth, you wonder quietly what time feels like inside the church bell's waiting pause. It begins with a sound low and long, rolling through the air like breath. The church bell tolls once, then again, slow and sure, its rhythm echoing against stone and skin alike. You stop what you are doing, cloth in hand, water halfway poured, and you listen. Not because you must, but because something inside you responds, not in thought, but in pace. The bell is not loud, not jarring. It is deep, steady, and wide, a vibration that lingers longer than sound should. It marks nothing urgent. It simply marks now. You wrap your shawl and step out, following a familiar path, your footsteps joining those of neighbors on their own quiet walks toward the chapel. A village chapel is not grand. It leans slightly, its wooden door always ajar, as though it's been exhaling for years. Inside, the light filters through small, thick-glassed windows. Dust floats visibly in the beams, not dirty, but soft, as though the air has been worn. Smoothed by centuries of whispers. You sit or kneel, or simply close your eyes. There are no sermons today, no choirs, no grand lessons. Only breath, only stillness. And in this moment, your body quiets. The warmth of the walk lingers in your chest, but your arms fall gently to your sides. Your heartbeat slows. You feel the wooden bench beneath you, the rough linen against your skin, the slight ache in your knees, reminding you that you're alive and rooted. You think of nothing in particular. Or perhaps everything. A name, a prayer, a rhythm. And in this small act of pausing, of listening, of being, you participate in something older than stone, older than bells. The architecture of the chapel, the shape of its arches, the way sound moves through its beams, is its own quiet science. Designed not with math alone, but with breath, with the human need to feel held by space. Eventually, you rise, not changed, but calmed. You step outside, and the light has shifted, a little warmer, a little fuller, and so the day continues. Not with ceremony, but with care. You return to the basin and dip your cloth again. Warm water, cooled slightly since morning. The wood of the floor beneath your feet, got out of complaint, but recognition. It knows you. You scrub the table, not because it is dirty, but because it needs you to. There's something sacred, in the circular motion of your hand, in the pattern left by water, in the way labor becomes a kind of prayer. You rinse the rag and move on, to the hearth, to the shelves, to the pots blackened from yesterday's stew. Each task is slow, but sure. Each one contributes to the rhythm of home. Your hands find the spindle next. Wool from the sheep carded yesterday now waits to be twisted into thread. The spindle spins with a gentle hum, its weight pulling downward, your fingers guiding the young. Fibers into something strong, continuous, useful. Spinning is patience, embodied. Twist, draft, wind. The wool stretches and holds. Microscopic hooks on each fiber catch and tangle, binding the thread not by force, but by togetherness. You don't name this physics. You live it. As the yarn grows, your mind drifts to the bell, to the chapel, to the quiet space it made in. Your thoughts. You set the spindle down and stand. There are more tasks waiting. Mending a torn hem, gathering kindling, checking the leak in the thatched roof. But none of it feels heavy. Each task is a bead on the thread of the day, and you string them gently, one after the other. The afternoon light fades without warning. You do not check the hour. You watch the way the shadows stretch across the floor, the way the gold turns to gray, and you kneel by the hearth again, this time not to pray, but to sweep. Ash falls like soft snow beneath your broom. Each stroke gathers the days. Remains coal dust, fallen crumbs, broken threads. You do not mourn the mess. You gather it, because gathering is a kindness. Outside, the bell tolls once more. A shorter chime this time, perhaps marking evening. Perhaps nothing at all. Still, you pause. Still, you listen. The chores are not done, but they don't need to be. They are always there, cycling through hands and time like breath. And as your fingers tuck the spindle and thread into the basket, and your knees rise from the floor for the last time today, you feel the stillness again, not imposed by silence, but invited by motion. You stretch your back. You rub your hands. You walk toward the door where night is beginning to settle. The firewood is stacked. The wool is spun. The table is cleared. And yet, as the shadows deepen around the doorway, your thoughts drift toward something else entirely, toward a child. In a dim schoolroom, where the only light is candle and chalk, and learning moves just as slowly as breath inside these walls. The morning is quieter than most. There's a chill not just in the air, but in your thoughts, the kind that comes with the knowledge that today is not for fields or fires, but for learning. You wrap your shawl a little tighter, not from the cold, but from something else, something more like nervousness, though you wouldn't yet call it that. The road to the schoolhouse is worn, a crooked path that winds through trampled grass and over patches of frozen earth. Your boots knock softly against stones. Your breath escapes in puffs that dissolve into sky. The school is small. Stone walls, one chimney, a wooden door that sticks each time it opens, as if even the building resists the lessons inside. Enter, and the world narrows. Light filters through thick glass, casting faint shadows onto the wide wooden floor. The air smells of chalk, soot, and wool. A long bench waits for you. It is hard and splintered, its surface carved with the initials of those who came before, small histories dug into wood by bored fingers and patient knives. You sit. Your slate is passed to you, along with a stub of chalk that leaves white dust across your hands. There is no paper here. No ink, no pens, no books with printed pages. You hold the slate in both hands and feel its weight, cool, flat, unforgiving. A surface meant for mistakes, for smudging and starting over. The teacher stands at the front, his robes heavy, his face lined not just by age, but by repetition. He speaks in a tone that never rises, never falls. A tone carved by discipline and years of saying the same thing in the same way. Today, it's Latin. You don't know what Latin is yet. Only that it sounds like water dripping from a high roof, measured, distant, and hard to reach. You repeat. The sounds awkward in your mouth, your tongue slow to shape them. Amo, amas, amat, I love. He loves. You wonder what it means to love a word. To hold it gently enough that it becomes something more than sound. The teacher walks behind you, his boots echoing across the wood, his hands clasped, his eyes never blinking long. You lean forward, shoulders tense, trying not to draw his attention. But your letters are shaky, your lines uneven. A tap on your slate, a correction made. A moment passes. You breathe again. It is not easy, this learning. Not soft, not sweet, but something else necessary. The human brain, even now, builds pathways. As you struggle, each repetition strengthens a connection, like weaving a thread through cloth, again and again, until the fabric holds. Neurons fire. Patterns form. Your mind learns to shape symbols into meaning. You may not know the word neuroplasticity, but you feel it each time your hand steadies. Each time the next letter comes a little easier than the last dotted break. You step outside, rubbing your hands together as the cold bites at your fingertips. You sit on the stone wall and watch as others toss pebbles, chase chickens, laugh with mouths full of half-frozen breath. Some children do not come to school. They tend goats or sweep floors or stay home to help where help is always needed. But you are here, and though it is hard, and though your back aches from the bench, you stay. The bell sounds again. Not a great tower bell this time, but a small handbell rung from the doorway like a ripple through still water. You return to your place. Now it's numbers. Roman ones. I, 2, 3, 4. V, you copy them carefully, the chalk leaving trails of white. Across your sleeve, you don't yet understand what these numbers mean beyond counting. But your hands learn before your thoughts do. The muscle memory of marking, of spacing, of arranging order from noise. And that is learning, 2 by afternoon. The air inside is warmer. The fire has been stoked with care. Its heat climbs slowly from the hearth, rising into the bones of the room. You read from a hornbook, the letters protected beneath a thin layer of flattened animal horn, a sheet made smooth, nearly clear. By hands that knew how to stretch nature into something that could teach, you trace the alphabet aloud. A is for Adam. B is for Bible. C is for cross dot. And though you do not yet question why some letters are taught before others, your lips form. Them just the same. Language, you realize, is a kind of spell. It lets one person place thought into another's mind across time. Across place. Your brain, quiet and vast, is learning not just to copy, but to connect. To build bridges between sound and shape, between meaning and memory. The final lesson ends without ceremony. The teacher nods. You stand. Your knees crack softly. You wipe your slate clean with the edge of your shawl, erasing the chalk, but not the work it did. Outside, the sun leans low. The road home stretches like thread, unspooled and waiting. As you walk, you think of letters and numbers, of sounds that mean love, of lines drawn and redrawn until they make sense. The schoolhouse disappears behind you, its walls holding echoes of every mistake, every repetition, every small triumph, whispered into the fabric of your thoughts. And now, as your boots return to the muddy track, you feel the fading light settle into your chest, not heavy, but quiet. And just ahead, through the soft sway of chimney smoke, a window glows, its light flickering like a candle beside a bowl, a spoon, and the hush of evening returning to claim its place. Evening arrives without announcement. No sudden shift, no screen to dim, no buzz to alert you. Just the light fading slowly, the edges of the day softening like the end of a lullaby you've heard your whole life. The sun slips behind the thatched rooftops, and the shadows lean longer across the floor. You sit near the window, where light still lingers, and watch it fold itself into dusk. That is no noise, no hum of engines, no clicks, no taps, no distant static. Only hush. Not silence, but a kind of layered quiet, the rustle of fabric, the soft sigh of firewood adjusting in the hearth, the far-off bleating of a sheep preparing to sleep. You light a candle, not with a switch, but with flint and careful breath. The wick catches slowly, then flares into gold. The flame dances as if it remembers music. Your hands rest on your lap. Tired hands, creased with work, warm now with reflected light. This small flame will carry you through the evening. Its wax will melt in slow, silent spirals. Its glow will soften the room, turning every corner into something more forgiving. Around you, others settle. The house breathes differently at night. Less purposeful, more present. A pot hangs above the fire, but it no longer simmers, just holds warmth like the memory of a meal. The scent of herbs still drifts in the air. Thyme, maybe, or dried sage. A child hums. Another stretches out on the rug, their fingers idly tracing knots in the wood. No one tells them to stop. No one tells them to speak. The space between people is not empty here. It's full of knowing, unspoken glances, shared stillness, a comfort born not from words, but from presence. You mend a tear in your sleeve. Needle, thread, wool. The rhythm is gentle, almost hypnotic. Each stitch closes a story of bramble snags and long walks. Your mind drifts. Not forward, not backward, but sideways, into corners of thought where nothing urgent waits. Outside, the wind passes by. It doesn't howl. It whispers. Brushes the shutters. It stirs the trees. It speaks in a language that doesn't need to be understood to be felt. Your ears, unused to the quiet of modern nights, are sharper here. You hear the creak of beams overhead, the settling sigh of earth beneath the stone floor, the faint drip of water in a bucket. These sounds are not interruptions. They're reminders. The science of hearing, after all, begins in stillness. Tiny bones in your ear, the malleus, incus, stapes, vibrate with every shift in air. You don't notice them, but they notice everything. And in this world without machines, without static, those bones are busy with subtleties. You move slowly now. The candle's flame draws shadows that sway across the walls. You remember stories once told in those shadows, about harvest spirits, about foxes that speak, about stars falling from the sky into rivers. No books are opened, no pages turned. Not because they're forbidden, but because tonight the quiet is enough. You feel your breathing match the tempo of the room. Longer inhales, slower exhales. Your body begins to understand that the day is finished, and nothing more is required of it. Someone plays with a bit of string, knotting it, untying it. The game means nothing and everything. It's not for amusement. It's for motion. 4. Keeping hands company while minds wander gently towards sleep. The candle burns lower. Its wax pools at the base, shining like honey in a wooden bowl. The wick shortens, but the flame still glows, a quiet defiance against the dark that waits. Beyond the shutters, there's no fear of that dark. Not here. It comes every night, and it brings nothing but stars. No lamps on poles, no neon signs. Only moonlight and the cool hush of distant constellations that have watched you, and everyone before you with patient eyes. You yawn. Not loudly. Just a stretch of the jaw, a soft release of the day. You stand and fold the mending cloth, set the needle in its case, and blow out the flame. The darkness arrives fully now. And still, it is not empty. You move by memory, by touch, knowing. Where the hearth ends, where the table begins, where the bed waits, the others have already begun to drift. One curled in a chair, one beneath a woolen blanket. Breath slow, bodies relaxed. Minds folding inward like petals at dusk. And you, still listening, still breathing, begin to wonder about the rhythms of sleep itself. How your body shifts, your temperature lowers, your thoughts unspool. You think of dreams, of the strange quiet of the brain as it washes itself clean, flushing memories, sorting the day, making space for tomorrow. And as the night deepens, as the nothingness becomes everything, you find yourself thinking of the quiet places where learning rests, and how even in sleep, something continues to grow. The last embers shift in the hearth. Soft cracks, like whispers, echo through the dim room. Orange light flickers across the floor, casting shadows that stretch and breathe, then slowly dissolve into stillness. You sit near the fire for a moment. Longer, your hands stretch toward the fading warmth, your breath visible in the air, a quiet thread of life rising and vanishing, rising and vanishing. The day has folded in on itself, its edges softened by silence, its center hollowed out by routine, and now only rest remains. There is no bedroom, no pillow made of down, no door to close, just a room. And in that room, a bed, or what passes for one, a wooden frame, low and narrow, filled with straw and covered with rough wool. You share it, not out of affection, but necessity. Two, sometimes three, tucked shoulder to shoulder, limbs overlapping like branches in a windless wood. You feel the creak of the boards beneath you, feel the familiar curve of the wall where your back will rest. Feel the slight chill that slips beneath the blanket before your body begins to warm the space around it. The blanket is heavy, not soft, but thick, woven from wool that still remembers the sheep it came from. It smells faintly of lanolin and earth. You crawl beneath it slowly. There is no rush. Only the quiet preparation for surrender. Your toes find a warm place. Your fingers tuck the edge beneath your chin, and you let yourself become still. Sleep here is not luxurious. It is simple, shared, sometimes restless, sometimes interrupted by snores, or the shifting of bodies, or the soft scratching of lice or fleas, unwanted companions in the darkness. But still, you sleep. You sleep because your body is ready, because the day has asked enough of you, because your breath has slowed, your limbs are heavy, and the fire has whispered its last goodbye. Your brain begins to change its rhythm. The waves inside it, once quick and busy, now stretch into longer, slower loops. Delta waves begin their dance, deep and deliberate, cradling your thoughts in a cocoon of rest. There are no pillows, but your head finds a place. No mattress, but the straw shifts beneath your weight in a language your spine understands. You feel yourself drifting, not falling, but gliding downward, inward, deeper still. Around you, others breathe. A chorus of sleeping sounds, sniffs, sighs, and soft murmurs fill the room with life, even in rest. Your body cools slightly. A natural shift. The brain lowers your core temperature to prepare for dreams. Your heart slows. Your muscles soften. Even your eyelids, though closed, begin to flutter. You may not know it, but you are entering REM, the place where stories begin, where the mind, no longer tethered to the room, wanders freely into itself, and what strange stories it finds. Field you've never seen. A conversation that never happened. A version of yourself that runs, or flies, or weeps without sound. Your brain sorts and files, cleans and repairs. Neurons fire in patterns that build memories, strengthen connections, make sense of nonsense. You dream not just to escape, but to heal. The science of sleep hides here, in the twitch of a finger, the roll of the eye, the gentle rise and fall of the chest under heavy wool dot outside, the world is colder. The frost spreads along the window frame. The stars shine above the thatched roof, their ancient light traveling across time to kiss the earth without sound. Inside, your warmth holds. Your body, a tiny furnace beneath the covers, wrapped in its own gentle combustion, burning calories. In slow, steady silence, the fire has gone out now, its glow a memory, its warmth replaced by breath and presence. But the room does not feel cold. Not truly, because in this moment you are connected to the straw beneath you, to the breath beside you, to the wood, the air, the silence itself, and somewhere your mind begins to rise again, not to wake, but to hover in that soft place. Between deep sleep and early stirring, dreams linger there. Their edges blur. You see a face you recognize, but cannot name. You hear words that were never spoken, but feel true all the same. Perhaps this is what memory is, a dream your brain decided to keep. The hours pass without measurement. The candle burned low hours ago. No ticking clocks, no alarms. Only the subtle shift of light outside, the pale blue of pre-dawn pushing against the shutters. Your body begins to stir. Not with urgency, but with return. Fingers curl. A shoulder shifts. Your lungs pull in air, cooler now, but still kind. You do not rise yet. You remain tucked into the rhythm of rest, suspended in the quiet. And in that quiet, you begin to sense the world again. The faint crack of wood as it settles. The distant call of a rooster declaring the arrival of morning. The room begins to move slowly, blankets lifting, feet finding floors, bodies stretching in the dim light. But you remain for one last breath, one last stillness wrapped in warmth and wonder. And as your eyes open to the hush of a new day, you find yourself wondering if every moment has its rhythm. What happens in the space between waking and purpose? The day is over now, and you sit quietly beside what's left of a fire. Not because there is something to do, but because there is nothing to chase. You've lived this day, a slow, ordinary day in a Tudor village, from rooster's call to candles flicker. And now, in the hush of evening, you are left only with the rhythm it placed gently inside you. Nothing extraordinary happened. No wars were won. No discoveries were made. No name carved into stone. But still, there is something whole about it. A kind of completeness woven from the repetition of quiet things. You remember dressing slowly, the feel of wool over linen, the way each tie and loop asked you to be present before the world could begin. You remember the market, not for what you bought, but for the way people nodded to each other, spoke without hurry, and exchanged not just goods, but presence. Recall the taste of warm pottage, how your spoon moved steadily, how food came not from packaging, but from weather and time, from soil and fire. And the fields, how they opened wide like arms, how your hands found tools before your mind did, how labor felt not like effort, but like memory passed down through muscle. Each part of your day was shaped not by speed or schedule, but by sensation. You moved with the earth, not ahead of it. You listened to bells, not alarms. You watched shadows instead of ticking clocks. You worked until you were hungry. You ate until you were full. You rested when your breath told you it was time. And in all of it, you were part of something larger, not a timeline, but a cycle. Science lives in these small things, not only in stars and engines, but in the curve of a spoon, the fermentation of bread, the way wool traps warmth by holding air in microscopic curls. Biology, chemistry, physics, they unfold in every moment, silently, beautifully, whether you name them or not. You think now of the church bell, how its sound didn't startle, but gathered you, how even your thoughts moved differently in its presence. like they had more space between each word. You think of how learning came in chalk dust, how your mind shaped new letters by muscle, by rhythm, not by screens or scroll. You think of how silence spoke louder than speech, and how rest wasn't a reward, but a rhythm. And you begin to wonder, what if peace lives not in progress, but in repetition? What if contentment is not built by seeking more, but by finding again the beauty in what already is? This Tudor day, quiet as it was, showed you something. That life does not need to be fast to be full. That purpose can be quiet. That joy can be slow. The people around you, your neighbors in the market, the child tracing knots in the floor, the weaver with patient fingers. None will be remembered by name, but they were here, fully, their lives made up of meals and mending, of morning walks and evening prayers, of touching the world with hands that expected nothing more than today. And you lived it too. You breathed the same air, walked the same muddy path, lit the same candle with care and breath. There was no rush. There was no hurry up. There was only what came next. And now you feel how that stillness lingers in your chest, how your heartbeat has learned a slower song, how your body, used to striving, has found peace in simply being. You lie back. The bed is straw again. The blanket is coarse, but your body knows how to rest now. Your mind is soft with memory. In this moment, the past isn't distant. It's within you, through rhythm, through breath, through wonder. You wonder how many people lived this exact day, with its sameness, its slowness, and felt it as enough. You wonder how many small, unnoticed lives held whole universes of beauty, not in brilliance, but in balance. And as your breath begins to deepen, and your thoughts dissolve like light into dusk, you begin to feel the great secret of time, that it isn't made of seconds, but of moments, moments held slowly, repeated gently, felt fully. And as your eyes begin to close, and the fire sighs one final time, you ask yourself, softly, what else might you discover if you lived your own day as if it were enough? And now, as our story gently fades, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending this moment with me. Your presence here means the world, and your support helps me create even more peaceful journeys. Just for you. If this helped you rest, please consider liking, subscribing, or simply coming back tomorrow night. Until then, stay cozy, stay kind, and may your dreams tonight be soft, serene, and full of wonder. Good night, my friend. With warmth, David.